So I think one of the most interesting things about traveling that you've probably had a lot of experience with is that there's a lot of places that people will never go in their life because of this perception they have of what it probably is based on what they're told. But I'm sure that you've realized in your travels across the world that that's not the case.
Oh yeah. Everywhere I go, almost every single country I go to, someone's, oh, it's dangerous. Oh, be careful. Oh, this and this. Oh, I'm like, yeah, thank you. I know I'm a female. I always have to be careful where I go and be very cautious. But yeah, I've never had any bad experiences, honestly. The only places that I felt like a little uncomfortable was California was a little iffy because California and Winnipeg, because I feel like you can trust people, but when there's a problem with drugs in a city, then it's hard because you can't really trust people when they're on drugs because anything could happen. So I found that California was like that a little bit. Like there was just like people on the street that were kind of being delusional and just like doing things and speaking in very interesting ways. But like wherever you go, yeah, people might be poor, but everyone's hustling, like they have their life, they're hustling. There's not a lot of like people walking around doing drugs, homeless on the street like that. Like I haven't really, of course, there's like homelessness everywhere and danger, but everywhere has just been so good and people are so nice everywhere you go. Like this world is so underrated. Everyone travel, travel. You
What
got to. You're gonna die sometime, so might as well.
what even got you going on this journey? Because I can't say that I've met a lot of people who have ever traveled across Africa who don't have family there or who aren't doing some very sheltered mission trip that sticks them along a certain track.
Well, my goal is to go to like every continent except maybe Antarctica because I'm not the biggest fan of the cold, but one day I'll go there. And I really enjoy like Afro beats, Afro dance, everything. So I was like, okay, let's go to Africa. And then I just came. I don't know. I was like full send, bought a ticket to Morocco. Well, first we went to Portugal because it was cheaper to fly from Canada to Portugal, and then we just caught a cheap flight to Morocco. And then we did Morocco, went to Spain, and then went to Senegal, which was very interesting. Like I had no idea even what Senegal was really, but we picked it, me and my friend went, we picked it because it was the hottest place at that time on a beach. So we're like, okay, let's just go to the hottest beach country. And then we got there and yeah, the beaches were really beautiful. The people are so nice. Like definitely Colombia has really nice people and Senegal, like nice in a way that even during Ramadan, that everyone wanted you to come eat with them. They were always giving bracelets away. They wanted to help you the most. They were always saying hi no matter what. Like just like beyond very nice, super nice. So yeah, that was super fun. Very everyone was like, Senegal, what's there? I had no idea. We just we just went. And then I wanted to do some kind of teaching volunteer because I want to be a teacher. So I looked up that in Uganda and there were so many. And then I just picked one and I spent 3 weeks at a school and just hung out, did that. And then we traveled around Uganda for a bit. And then now we're in Rwanda. And tomorrow we actually go to Tanzania.
Oh, wow, holy.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
You got the whole Africa tour going on.
Yeah. Just a little bit of it. So big, this place.
I mean, it's
So many countries.
I think it's the continent that has the most countries, if I'm not mistaken, or it's that or Asia. And I also know that it would probably be the one that is not the easiest to travel around because in Asia they have so many cheap budget airlines and places that are closer together, whereas in Africa, like there's a lot of
Yeah, flights are more expensive for sure.
yeah. I mean, it's and two, even like when you want to go across the continent, there's no real way you can get around the distance or the cost of some. Like I've looked into going to Mozambique or to Madagascar or any of the places in the southeast coast, and like you have to go through Dubai or you have to go somewhere else in Africa that's gonna be a lot more than just catching a $20 flight from
Yeah. Yeah,
Vietnam
like
to
our flight
Malaysia.
from here. the cheapest flight from here to the coast of Tanzania was like $300, and it's neighboring country, so it's kind of like Canada prices. It's a bit expensive, but we took a bus from Uganda to Rwanda, and there's buses that go all throughout like East Africa. But I know Tanzania right now has big floods in the north and Kenya, so we thought it was going to be a bit hard to bus through the whole country, so we just decided to fly.
Had you traveled a bunch before going to Africa, or was this like the first time you wanted to dive headfirst into?
No, I've definitely traveled lots. I've been traveling since like grade five, I would say. Almost every year, like my family and us, we would go on a trip or two trips. And then since university, I just started traveling like a lot. And I did my university a bit slower, so I had time to work and travel. So yeah, I definitely traveled a bit before, like a few months. Like last year, I went on for 4 or 5 months. The year before that, I went on a few months to Europe. I did Central and South America, did some of the Caribbean, and then next winter I'm going to do Asia.
And you've not been to
So
Asia
just
before?
slowly plucking along. Hmm?
Asia, you've not been to before?
Nope, have not.
So with having traveled to all these places, like would I guess it sounds like the influence of your parents at least has affected you greatly in terms of your desire to travel. Will that be correct to say?
Yeah, I would say so. Like we were always exploring a bit when we were younger. But I wouldn't say that we went to a lot of like weird places. Like we not weird, but we'd go to this like my auntie's from Chile, so we went to Chile and we went to Cuba, Mexico, like kind of the regular places. I went to El Salvador in high school. And then I don't know, I feel that I really like to feel a bit like uncomfortable, new language, new food, because so many people do it. If you're coming from another country and moving to a place and having to start a life, like people start whole lives in an uncomfortable place. So I just love to like go and explore and kind of see the world in a way that you're not the norm, you're not in your house, you're not comfortable, you're out there and you're surviving and figuring it out and having fun along the way. Definitely fun.
Oh, I mean, the idea of being uncomfortable for an extended period of time, I think, is unsettling to a lot of people. Probably why they don't go travel to these places. But at least in my experience from having gone to a handful of countries that not a lot of people travel to, or I've not met a lot of people who have gone to, whenever you tell them these stories, they're often like, "What? It's it is actually not super dangerous, or it is really fun, or wow, that looks really beautiful, or I've never seen or heard of that place before. Maybe I should go there." And it's outside the normal circle, like you said, of like the Mexico, Cuba, Dominican that everybody goes to because it's just, well, I need to stack as much fun as I can in my life as possible in 2 weeks at the end of December on a beach in a resort where I'm not really uncomfortable, and then go back to my life that I
Yeah.
hate, and then just rinse and repeat that till I'm 65.
Yeah, and I mean, at least they are getting to experience something other than home, but I think that if they knew, if there was more companies that like plan trips, like I would eventually like to do that, plan trips and take people experience. Like my parents met me in Colombia last year, and I think at first they were like, okay, but then I was like their trip advisor. I was taking them here, taking them there, and they had the best time. And they said that they're gonna come to Asia next year too. So I was like, yeah, let's go.
The way that you structured your life around travel, what were some of the challenges that you had to face in order to do that? Because of course, it's it might not be not say as easy, but I feel like a lot of people I've spoken to will usually point to many obstacles that they claim get in the way of them being able to do this. So how did you get around obstacles to make this possible?
So when I was in university, I mean, obviously we have 2 semesters. So I would do the first semester. Sometimes I would take a trip during Christmas, and then second semester I would also work, save up money. And then I was living on campus, so it wasn't like I was renting a full year apartment. So I think number one, the biggest challenge is if you have an apartment, if you have a home that you're constantly paying rent for, then you're paying that on top of your traveling, right? Like some of my friends, they're still paying their apartment full year. So if they're coming, they're paying $1,000 to their apartment. For me, I don't have that. I was renting semester to semester, and then I work seasonal jobs also. So in the summer, July and August, I go back to my family's house and work at a restaurant right near there. And then in the fall, September, October, I go up northern Manitoba. My dad's a fisherman, so I do the fishing season. So we live like in the bush in a camp. So then and then I come back, and usually like the last couple of years I was going to Alberta, working on a farm. I was collecting EI because seasonal work. And then I would do a trip in December, come back for Christmas. This year I worked fishing season in the winter for January and February. I lived at my parents', and then now I'm traveling. So I don't really have like a place that I'm paying rent for staying. So that's one thing that's a challenge that it's, easy for me. And then second is that I do seasonal work. So I'll work when I go home, I work every day, all day, work, 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 make my money, save it, and then I take it and go. And I make sure like I don't really eat out when I'm home. When I go out partying or dancing or whatever, it's not like I'm buying drinks. Like I'll pregame before, buy a bottle and take some shots and then go out because that gets expensive. So just like and like not ordering random stuff, just saving your money, save, 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 and then being able to go and travel. So yeah, I think that's definitely some of the biggest things is the work. So seasonal work offers you lots of freedom, and then I'm homeless, I guess you could say. People always try to sell me things like, hey, you want to buy this pillow? You want to buy this thing? I'm like, sorry, I got nowhere to put it. I don't have a house. And they're like, oh, okay. That's why I always buy jewelry because it's my traveling house. This is my traveling body house.
Yeah, you can take it with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
So then, have you ever had like what have you ever pursued work opportunities then places like try to make money on the road, or has that also been a bit of a challenge?
I haven't worked where, like when I travel, no. I have done like a couple work placements, like teaching yoga or teaching English and blah, blah, blah. But no, I don't really work. I need to put it in existence and actually do it. Is like, I would like to start like, a TikTok for travel and blah, 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 blah. But I just don't go on social media like a lot or TikTok. That's an excuse. I know I'm making an excuse right now. I could spend 10 minutes a day to do it like I should. But it's just something that I love taking pictures and videos just because like I love picture taking. Like I've always loved photography. So that's just something that I like to do for that. But yeah, everyone always says you need to start a TikTok because that'd be sick. Okay, yeah, I'm traveling for free around the world. Now I don't have to do anything.
I mean, that's the dream,
So
isn't it?
yep. It could be a reality, but I'm being lazy right now. And I know that. I'm owning it.
Well, self-awareness is the first step to making change in life, right?
Yeah.
So how many countries have you been to total?
I think like maybe 25, 26, something like that.
And what would you put right off the top of your head in the top five? Like in not in any particular order necessarily, because I'm sure there's a bit of sorting that has to happen when you get to that point.
I love Brazil. Brazil's amazing. It's cheap. The beaches, yeah, the beaches. There's just the longest stretch of beach ever. The food is great. Fruit everywhere. You can pay for credit card anywhere you go. On the beach, someone will be selling coconuts, credit card. I'm like, okay. You can wear whatever you want. Like you want to wear a little skinny, skimpy top, no problem, because all the grandmas are wearing that also. And it's like, yes. And being gay is totally, everyone's gay. No problem. It's not illegal. They always get down. Men and women are always getting down at the club. There's just so many things about Brazil that is just so amazing. So definitely Brazil on my top. I really love Brazil. I mean Jamaica, I've been there a few times. Definitely a whole different world though. Like it is not for the fucking weak. Let me tell you that. If you if you're a single girl going there, interesting, like the cat calling, the things that they say to you, like everything, you know. But you just gotta smile and wave, okay, but definitely the culture is like super funny, like it's chill, relax, but they're so nice. Like you would never walk by yourself because someone would always want to accompany you, make sure you're safe, you know, getting where you are. And the dance culture is super amazing there too. I love Italy, really good food, great pizza. What else? I really liked Greece too. Greece was beautiful. And I love Uganda and I love Rwanda. Also very nice. Everywhere. It's so hard. I don't know. It's so hard to say.
Well, I feel like this when you get to travel to that many countries, oftentimes there can be maybe just not as good experiences. What would you say have been maybe some of the not as fond experiences that you've had that have taught you a few lessons about what to look out for or or wisdom you've shared with others who have wanted to embark on a similar journey?
Know what vaccines you need because when we were going from Brazil to Colombia, it was like a 1 a.m. flight. So we went from Rio to the airport. We got to the airport. They called our names up and they were like, okay, so can we see your yellow fever vaccine? And we're like, yeah, we don't have it. And they're like, okay, well, you can't actually get on this flight. And we're like, okay. So we had to just not get on the flight, go back to our place, and then we had to get it at the hospital the next day, the yellow fever vaccine, and then we had to wait 10 days. So we were stuck in Brazil. Oh no, so bad. So bad to be stuck in Brazil, right? No, just kidding. We went to the beach, it was all good. And then yeah, so we got the yellow fever vaccine and then we went back and then we almost couldn't get on the flight again because they were like, "Oh, we need to see your ticket of onward travel." And we're like, "Fuck, we don't have that." And sometimes, you know, some countries always ask, some don't, some airlines ask, some don't. So it's always like a gamble. You never really know. So we didn't have anything, and they were like, "Hey, well, you can't board this flight if you don't." We were trying to book bus tickets, we were trying to book, it wasn't working, and they were just like not helpful at all. They're like, hurry up, hurry up. And we're like, oh my God, me and my friend Megan were like, what the fuck? So we bought just random tickets to random places. But I've started using like fake flight simulator, and it's like $20. You get like a fake thing. I've used it for a lot of visas here. So that was good. So yeah, vaccines, onward travel if you need that. Also going to the right bus station one time. We went to the wrong bus station. We were looking around for this company and they were like, "You're not even at the right place." We're like, okay. So the more you like travel and screw up, it's just like, okay, what's next, you know? Like you never know. It's visas. I at the start when I had to apply for a visa, it was very stressful because they needed the pictures in a certain JPEG or PDF under 300, blah blah blah. And I was trying to do that on my phone, but I could not. So I had to send it to my friend to get her to size it. So I did that. And actually right now I'm waiting for my Tanzania visa. I applied for it on Friday. That's bad. I should have applied way before. And I'm still waiting for it and we leave tomorrow. So right now we don't exactly know what's gonna happen. If I'm gonna get it. Alexis didn't apply, so we're gonna go to the airport and see, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, because I know when we were coming here, they said like, oh, I need to see your visa before we got on the plane. So I don't know what's gonna happen exactly, but we'll figure it out. Story to be continued.
I heard that somewhere that they offer the yellow fever vaccine in the airport in Colombia, I remember seeing a video about that
Mm,
somewhere, or I don't know if that
I
was if
think
it's you're already there and you're leaving or whatnot, but
some places they do. I know when I arrived in what airport was that? Maybe Senegal, they had the yellow fever. They were asking for proof and I showed them it. And then I know if you didn't, you could go and get it done. But like for us, we needed to get it and then wait 10 days for it to be active in our body and then we could fly. And a yellow fever is like it's expensive in Canada. I think it was like 250 for Alexis to get. And for me, we just got it free in Brazil. So a lot of times if you go to a country that has them for free, you could just go get it. So
interesting, yeah, because yeah,
also other things is like bringing a couple credit cards And because like sometimes you go to an ATM and one card doesn't work or one's not accepted, so always making sure that you have like another one to work with, and making sure that you have cash when you arrive in a country. So if I'm going, to Tanzania, I'm making sure that I have some kind of currency, so when we arrive that you can go get a cab or do whatever until you can get. So just like little things to think ahead of and stuff like that, I think is helpful. And you learn that so fast along the way.
Yeah,
So
especially the currency thing. I know that it can be a bit weird coming from Canada where you can pay for everything with a card, but there being a lot of countries where you have to have cash, like can definitely be a bit of a can throw you for a loop when you're not used
yeah.
to doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely cash is like a huge thing everywhere else. But yeah, Canada, no one uses cash. When I pay in cash, they're like, oh,
Like, are you a drug
okay.
dealer or something?
Yeah, only the good kind. Just kidding, feds, if you're listening. Oh, also, that's another story. Couple stories. When we went into Colombia in the national park, Tyrona National Park, um, I went in once with my friend, and then no, never mind. Yeah, okay, this is yeah, different. But we went in and I had like a little bit of weed on me, and there was people checking bags, and I just thought they were like park patrollers, because I've seen park patrollers check bags before for like lighters, speakers, I don't know, random stuff. So I was like, do 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 do, and then they were asking the girl beside us, like, do you do coke, blah blah blah, and she was like, no no no, and I was like, what the heck, that's weird. Why are they asking her that? And then they like pulled out my little baggie of weed, and they were like, and I was like, what? And then I realized it was the police, and I was like, oh fuck. And they were like, oh, give me your passport, like all this stuff. And I was like, it's okay, right? Like, no problem. They were like, no, this is illegal. I was like, fuck. They were like, we're taking you to the station, all this stuff. And I was like, no, 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 please no, like, I'll pay you, I'll pay you. And I ended up having to pay them like $500 Canadian. And I was like pissed. I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, should I bargain with them right now? I was like, do I bargain? Do I bargain with the cops? Is that okay? So I just gave it to them. I was like, whatever, at least I'm not getting arrested right now. But actually, my friend got arrested in the Moroccan airport, and she went to jail for a day. So that was interesting.
So did she have to like pay bail or like,
No, she didn't have to pay anything. We were at the airport. All that went down. They were like, we're taking you in. And I was like, okay, well, how long? And they were like, okay, you can go on your flight. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna leave my friend in Moroccan prison. Like, what? So they were like, okay, well, you can't come with us then. And I was like, okay, well, where am I supposed to go? They were like, take a cab to the police station. So I take a cab there. The cab driver was so confused. He's like, you're going to the bus station? I was like, no, 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 no. Police station. Mi amiga is there. Like, my friend, she's arrested right now. So like I got there, I was waiting. She wasn't there. I have no idea. And then she texted me, like, I'm still at the airport. We're on our way now. Finally, she comes. I like see her in the cop car. She's like, I was like, oh no, this is just not good. And then yeah, she was in there for like a few hours, and then they just let her go. But they took like mug shots, fingerprints, everything, and did that. But yeah, they said, oh, this happens all the time. And we're like, okay. And then we bought a new ticket for that night to go to Spain. And when we went back to the airport, all the guards were like, hey, one guy came up to us and was like, so can I ask you, what did you get in trouble for? And then she's like, yeah, I had some hash on me or whatever. He's like, you should have hit it better. We're like, oh, thanks. He's like,
yeah,
you got any more? Did they steal it all? And we're like, this is a trick question, but yes, they took it all.
gee, yeah, wow, that's so
Oh.
yeah.
So watch about that. And then even here, when we were smoking a bit of weed, I was like really sketched out. And Alexis was like, oh, why are you so sketched? I'm like, girl, I've been arrested fucking twice. Like, I've been in these situations. But
Yeah, like
definitely, it's so different to go to Canada. Canada, there's weed stores, more weed stores than grocery stores, like it's so crazy. And Jamaica, it's free to do everywhere. But everywhere else, it's like obviously illegal. So yeah, watch out for that, people.
Well, I mean, probably also the Netherlands too, but I don't know if you've been there yet.
Yeah, Amsterdam. Yeah, I was in. Yeah, Amsterdam was great. That place was great too, but still expensive. Canada is so cheap.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're in Amsterdam, like there's, yeah, the population density there is insane compared to most cities you're ever going to go to in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's so funny how when you tell these stories from the outside, it can be very anxiety inducing, I'm sure, to lots of your friends or people who have never gone and done these things. But just seeing how much resolve you have and the smile on your face of, oh, well, that's okay. We just got through it is just, I think it's so telling of someone who's traveled enough to know, like, it's okay. Like, this ain't my first rodeo versus someone who's like, oh my goodness, like, did we bring the right documents to the airport? Like,
Yeah. It's always like a learning. It's something's always happening. And even when my friend got to Uganda and we were taking like a really small little tuk like they pack those buses in, like you're uncomfortable, it's hot, you're in there. And I was like chilling and she's like, I don't know how you're so chill right now. I'm like, I've been in the worst uncomfortable situations that this is totally fine for me. And once you start being in more uncomfortable situations and just being like, this is just it, like everyone's, it's maybe crammed, it's hot, it's whatever, but whatever, you're on vacation, you're not working, you're chilling. So it just gets easier. And then once you have like a ride with a little bit more room, you're like, this is luxury. Like, am I in a limo right now? This is awesome.
yeah,
So
definitely
yeah,
the,
going through shitty experiences is better.
yeah, especially the situation with busing. Like, I remember even as early as being a kid when we take the bus in Brazil, we would go whatever, just through Rio and like you're like this on the bus the whole time. Like there was a time where a guy vomited right before he got off the bus. We had to smell like beer and all this. It was just so gross. And then when we ended up taking a bus that didn't have like 60 people on it, it felt like we were in a limo. Like it's just crazy
It,
how like
yeah.
it's almost like even in Winnipeg, like a lot of people like look and they look down on like, oh, if you have to take the bus, it's so terrible. I'm like, well, I mean, the bus in Winnipeg is nothing compared to taking the bus and
Or
like,
if like someone touches you, right? Like I feel like in Canada we have so much personal space that like even if you get in someone's way, you're like sorry, but here it's like they're on each other, like you're sitting on someone's lap almost. And
yeah,
like the culture here with like kids, anywhere you travel, I find here especially is so amazing. Like on the bus, they'll just pass the kids down. The other day I was holding this baby for the whole bus ride. Well, the mom was trying to get in and like had her little baby, and right away I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it," because I love kids. And then I was like, "I'm not gonna give you it back until you get off." So I was just holding this baby the whole trip. She even moved to the front, and I was still holding the baby. And then once she got off, she's like, "Okay, where's my baby now?" I was like, "Here you go." And like in Senegal, there was this little boy, he was from like one, and I guess he had to pee. So the mom just like passed him to the guy collecting money on the bus, and he just like put him out the door and he was just like peeing as we go. And in Canada, like you would never see that. Like no one's gonna let you like take your kid or hold your kid or do whatever. And there's no car seats here, there's no nothing. Everyone just straps their baby with like a cloth to their back, and it's so cute. Like, oh my God, so cute.
yeah, that's like the real. It's almost like you're just bootstrapping life because you're not like, oh, well, where's the this, where's the that. It's just like, okay, I trust you, you trust me. Like it's just, it almost seems like a very genuine act of human kindness that often gets
Yeah.
overlooked where we come from.
Yeah, I feel like the community here is so, so different. And people would be talking to people on the bus that they don't even know. Like in Morocco, we had Moroccan boyfriends and we traveled, hitchhiked with them for like a week maybe. And I swear they talked to everyone. And I was like, what are you even talking about? They're hugging them, kissing them. I'm like, I don't even talk to Maddie, my friend, this much. Like, what are you guys saying to each other? Like, what? Oh, it's like so crazy, like so different.
No, I mean,
Like you would never talk to someone on the bus in Winnipeg. You wouldn't be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah, blah. Like maybe a little bit, but not really.
no, it is very much like that in so many other places, and I think that's it's a good thing. Like people say friendly Manitoba, I'm like, yeah, maybe we're friendlier than like people you know, in Toronto or Vancouver. But yeah, Brazil's a place that's like that. I found when I was in Africa, it was like that. Fiji, same thing. Like people just very much like, hey, yeah, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Like just shooting the shit. And everyone's just really friendly and chill. Like it's not, I don't know, it's not a strange thing. And especially too, even if you don't speak the language necessarily, you'll see people who can obviously tell you're a foreigner and make effort to try to interact with you or to be positive because for them it's a really big thing where especially if you're in a place that doesn't have a lot of tourism from North America, they'll notice right away and they'll want to befriend you. Whereas like if you go to other places, they're just like, I don't care, like don't talk to me.
Yeah. It's also different in Canada because you don't really know who's from what and what's from what because everyone is just everything, you know? Like when I was at the school, they're like, "Is there black people in Canada?" I'm like, any kind of people that you think of are in Canada. Like it is very, and they're like, what's the food that you guys eat? I'm like, any kind of food. It's really just the whole globe into one country. Like, you know? So it's like harder to see, but here, yeah, we stand out. They call us Mazungu. Mazungu. Hi, Mazungu. Mazungu. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm a Mazungu.
That's yeah, I think that's sometimes one of the some of the funniest interactions you can ever have is with kids when you go to another country because they're so unfiltered, but in like a genuinely curious way that you're gonna get the real thoughts of like the people around you. Like adults are probably thinking the same thing. They won't say it, but kids will just they'll just go.
They're so cute. The kids here are so cute. They always want high fives. They're always, hey, like so cute. Oh, I love them.
I,
I
I
love
I don't
them.
know if you've ever seen videos online of like people who are like from North America that like live in East Asia and like know how to speak like Chinese or Japanese. Ever seen videos like that before?
I don't think so, no.
There's a few channels that I've come across, and one of the ones in particular is of this woman who like this blonde woman from America who like lives in Japan, but also like knows how to speak like Mandarin and Japanese. It's like it's insane. And so often, whenever she walks around, kids in China, especially, like they've never seen a person who's not Chinese, like ever. Not just like from another country. It's like, like if you're not Chinese, they've never seen somebody like that. And they're like, that's an alien. Like they're on Earth and just saying all these things. Like it's so funny. And I can't help but be addicted to watching these videos sometimes because to me it just shows like a lot of what you're saying, like the humanity of kids when they're so innocent, but they're just really curious to learn, especially if you're completely unlike they are.
So cute. And they were always like, watch your skin in the sun, watch your skin in the sun. It's bad. I'm like, thank you. They're like, you're gonna be red. I'm like, okay, thank you. You got me. Thank you. So funny.
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable, and I think that's one of the great benefits of going other places is it does feel like being in a new world or on a new planet sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially is it's okay, like if it's kind, I feel like Greece was very hard because they have a completely different signage language. So that was like really alien because everything, like you wouldn't even see letters that were the same as your alphabet. It was just like completely different. But I feel like if you know how to do charades, like a lot of times I just acted out charades, then it gets you somewhere. So just being uncomfortable in the situations and being like, yeah, it's okay. But you always get where you need to be eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the alphabet too, that's yeah, that can be definitely a confusing one. Haven't had well, I'll report back to you on what it's like when I have to read Cyrillic or Hangul or Japanese, but yeah, definitely that's a more alien-like experience for people from North America than anything else, I think, is when you can't read signs, you're like, oh my God, where the hell am I going?
No hope. You're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Where are you planning on going to in Asia when you make it there?
I want to go to Sri Lanka. I want to go to Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Bali. I like to go to Japan for sure. Maybe Korea. A little bit of everything. I really do want to go to Thailand though for like a month and train Muay Thai. So that's one thing that I want to do.
I think that there's something so profound about experiencing a form of martial arts in the country of origin. That's just there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, but just I was doing some kung fu classes here in Winnipeg, and I was talking with the main instructor. He's just like this, Canadian guy as well. And I was like, yeah, I was like, what got you into this? And he's like, oh, of course, like, well, do you know who Bruce Lee is? I'm like, yes. And he was talking about, of course, the influence of him on pop culture in the 70s. And he was saying, yeah, I got a chance to train kung fu at the Shaolin Temple in China for a week, back 20 years ago. This was pretty cool. I'm like, that to me, like when people talk about like Muay Thai in Thailand or like, Kung Fu in China or karate or whatever, and like I just find that like so extremely fascinating. It feels like you're literally in like a movie. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing lots of research when I was a bit younger on like different training camps, and yeah, you could go for like a month because I was taking classes in Selkirk, but nothing would be like going there and actually learning. And I really want to go to India and live in an ashram and do more like yoga practicing there also from the motherland. So lots of places that and I would have loved to do judo in Brazil. I didn't have a chance, but definitely got to go back and do that.
Yeah, Brazilian
Or
Jiu-Jitsu,
jiu-jitsu,
like
jiu-jitsu.
yeah. To do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be even I've never even done that yet, and I've been to Brazil 4 times, but again, maybe under a different set
We'll
of
go together. That's
circumstances.
our next thing. Become jiu-jitsu masters in Brazil.
Yeah, that's so many people like when they say like, "Oh, you're Brazilian," like, "Have you ever done jiu-jitsu before?" I'm like, "Well, not yet." I mean, I don't know. It's not as high on my priority list as of other things to do in Brazil, but I mean, I think that would definitely be a really cool experience for sure because you're there, and that's martial arts is extremely popular in Brazil. Like, you could even make an argument it might be the second most popular sport behind soccer.
Probably. I would say. Maybe dancing.
I mean, oh yeah, and volleyball's up there too, but I don't know, just martial arts like is even more accessible than soccer because you don't need anything. It's just you yourself, right? So
Yeah. Amazing.
if you were to give advice to somebody who is in their 20s wanting to be able to explore or if somebody who is curious to travel but hasn't done it yet, what advice would you give to someone who's in their 20s wanting to embark on that path?
I would say Google. Literally, Google is God's gift to earth. You can literally Google how to get from the airport to this Airbnb. They will give you 1,000 routes. You read, there's so many vlogs. So, just read lots of things. Read people that have been there before. They have lots of good ideas, like reading and educating yourself. Then you start to get a feel for it. Okay, this is what you want. This is that. Also, knowing that you're going to have the best time. It might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, it might be awkward, but that's the whole process and that's totally fine. And soon you'll be super used to it, Like it was funny because the other day we went to this rave thing on Saturday night and there was like a lot of Mzungus, like white people or whatever, and I felt out of place. And I was like, I haven't seen this many white people in months. Like, this is so weird. So, like, you just become accustomed to like being a foreigner, and then you don't even really realize that you're a foreigner because it's just like whatever, and you just start living it. So, being comfortable with the uncomfortable is definitely important, and just knowing that every country you go to is a regular civilized country. There's doctors, there's stores, there's vets, there's anything that's in your country, there's going to be here. So you don't need to overpack 1,000 things because you can get anything when you're here. Also, don't overpack because you can buy clothes and stuff. And people always like think that they need so much stuff, but you really don't need that much at all.
Yeah, that's definitely very sound advice, especially with the clothing, because you wouldn't believe how cheap a lot of clothing can be, or how much cheap clothing you can buy in other countries. Like, yeah, obviously, if you want to go to Zara or H&M and buy that type of clothing there, like it's going to be a lot more than Canada usually. But if you just want to buy a shirt or pants, like trust, you can find stuff for way, way, way less than Canada.
Yeah, I wish I came here with an empty bag because there's just so much stuff. Like I got this in Senegal and I usually get like one piece of clothing from each country and still my bag. Like I came with a pretty light bag and now I'm like, why is this full? Like what did I even get? Like what? And I still have a month left. I'm like, I'm gonna start throwing things out.
And what
But
would you
yeah,
say, what would you say is your biggest goal with travel in the next year?
biggest goal. I guess I would say to start a travel TikTok. That's my goal. And not just like have like information on like things to do and then have like ways to maybe stay healthy on the trip, how to save money, how to eat, where to eat, cooking, like maybe doing yoga or physical activity while you're traveling, yeah, things like that. And I really like going to markets. I think markets for me are like the big thing. Whenever I go into a new city or country, the first thing I do is go to the market. Like I don't go to any really touristy places, but I like go to the market and like buying a bunch of food and fruits. Like I'm always buying fruits and veggies and eating all that and like cooking with it. So yeah, I think just experiencing more culture, foods, fruits, and educating people on that stuff, I would say would be my goal.
Well, I will definitely be looking out for that and hold you to putting this out into the universe so you can get that done because I think that'll be a pretty incredible experience for you.
Yes, I need to do that. I will do
We'll be there.
it.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Carly. I've really appreciated your time sharing travel stories and showing people how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Uh, so yes, this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.